calling you.
I'd like to turn this in for a left-handed lock wire plier, please.
Hey, Lou, you got another passage. Take out your left hand. There, now you got a left-hand lock wire plier. Got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Goldie Hawn plays one of the millions of American women who go to work for the first time during World War II, and she's the victim of a practical joke in that scene from Swing Shift, one of the new movies we'll be reviewing this week on At the Movies, the movie review program. Across the aisle from me is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune.
And across the aisle from me, Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. Now, in addition to Swing Shift, we'll also be reviewing the fourth Friday the 13th Mad Slasher movie called Friday the 13th, the Final Chapter. Let's hope so, but I doubt it. We'll also be reviewing Karen Black in the offbeat romantic comedy, Can She Bake a Cherry Pie? But first, Roger begins with an offbeat musical called Privates on Parade.
Well, Privates on Parade tells the story of what must have been the weirdest British special unit in history, a song and dance troupe that specializes in dressing like women and putting on drag shows out in combat zones. And their mission is to raise the morale of the troops if they can, and that mission is taken very seriously by their very straight commanding officer, played by John Cleese of the Monty Python TV show. In this scene, Cleese is talking to a regular Army combat veteran when the swishy director of his dance troupe walks up.
Thanks for your help, Giles. This your new command?
Hmm? Oh, my dear fellow, hadn't you heard? Oh, I see a very special unit.
Yes?
Oh, yes. They didn't want to waste an officer with my knowledge of the jungle.
I should think not.
So they gave me command of a unique operation covering the whole of Southeast Asia. Covering it with what? I'll tell you, Henry. Song and...
Major dear! This is too much. A whole squad of your gallant lads are doing physical jerks or something on the barrack square right next to the theatre. My dear, the din, the stamping of their boots, the banging of their butts, the petulant shrieks of the corporals, and the first night of jungle jamboree is only 2 days away. How can we possibly rehearse? I mean, we are artistes, not foundry workers.
Got to rush, Giles. Thanks for your help.
Well, that ought to improve the morale of the troops. Here's the same guy in drag entertaining the forces.
Have you ever been down in Argentina? Have you ever known that special thrill? How would you like to mail a card from Venezuela? You could find romance in all Brazil. And in Valparaiso, girls would roll their eyes so that you could not tear yourself away. Killing nice vacuna underneath the moon, the Latin American way. Ole, the Latin American way.
Privates on Parade starts out like a Monty Python version of those old British carry-on comedies where every line had a double meaning. But the difference is about halfway through this movie, the action turns real. There's a real war and real bullets and real blood. And the comedy seems like a bad joke. Now, maybe that's the point of the film, but nevertheless, I don't think it quite works. And there are a couple of other problems, too. One is that the movie misses a lot of opportunities to make those characters into interesting people instead of just stereotyping them. And the second one is that the movie doesn't have an ending. It just sort of dribbles off into another song and dance number. I think a lot more could have been done with the same material.
Well, I thought they did a lot with it. I agree with you, the ending does dribble off. I don't think they need it. If they had stuck with the ending and not tried to do more jokes over the end credit titles, I think the film would have been stronger. I enjoyed this film for all of the fun of the musical numbers, and I thought it also did make its serious point of that these people were hopelessly out of touch with the people that they are fighting against or trying to help in one part of the world there. I thought the film did exactly what it was trying to do. Another thing I'd like to say is that technically, I think this film is as expertly made, costuming, photography, set decoration, and design as any movie I've ever seen.
I thought on a technical basis it was very routine. It was just a good, competent job. Another problem I had, there's a subplot in the movie, as you know, about the half-Indian, half-British woman who goes along with the troop and who is pregnant by one of them and is going to marry another one.
Right.
That, it seemed to me, was a very serious little center to the story and should have been paid more attention to, but instead, most of the time when we see that woman, she's simply looking out the window her mind is 1,000 miles away. That's never really dealt with either. So there are a lot of things that are brought on screen and never fulfilled.
Well, I thought that that story was dealt with, and I just by the fact that her character is on the screen, it's an interesting character. You wouldn't find it if this was just a gay little rock.
Okay, so if it is an interesting character, then let's have more of her. Let's not just have her there so we can say, gee, she's interesting. I wish we knew more about her.
I got enough about her from the way I saw the picture. Coming up next at the movies, Goldie Hawn grabs a power drill and a boyfriend while her husband goes to war.
We made those.
Our next film is Swing Shift, Goldie Hawn's latest picture, and it's a curious production, full of fine performances and a film that leaves you wanting more at several crucial moments. Goldie Hawn plays a typical housewife in 1941, but after Pearl Harbor is bombed, her husband goes off to fight the war in the Pacific, and her life is radically changed. Because against her husband's wishes, she begins working as a riveter in a Santa Monica airplane factory, and she is exposed there to the outside world of work and single men on the prowl.
Sure, it's ladies' day. Hey, bullseye.
I could have gone right through.
You did. All right.
I'm your lead man. You just take a deep breath and you get your confidence back.
Okay. Maybe I just should have stayed at home.
Oh, look, you do... I mean... I'm sorry.
That's okay. My husband used to say that all the time.
Is he dead?
No.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
I'm gonna watch you for a while, because when you get nervous, you can hurt yourself.
Okay, thank you. Come on. Are you all right?
That was Kurt Russell as her friendly boss, and he keeps hitting on Goldie for a date and for a romance for nearly 2 years. And by a New Year's Eve party in 1944, she has all but forgotten about her husband while she is in the arms of Kurt Russell.
Better than anything. This place, the music, dancing with you.
It's pretty damn good.
Oh, I wish it could be like this forever.
Why not?
That scene with its drawn-out beginning and just a smidgen of emotion at the end there is typical of the whole movie, which is long on period decor and dress and short sometimes on emotion. The film is very well acted, including an especially nice performance by Christine Lottie as one of Goldie Hawn's co-workers. But too often, we want more from this movie, more of a reason for her taking up with Kurt Russell, more of a reaction from her husband when he eventually learns of their affair. At times, Swing Shift almost seems afraid of its subject, so I give it a mixed review.
In other words, you think the film should be painted with broader strokes and everybody should have bigger and louder and more emotional reactions?
No, I wouldn't do it.
Well, that's exactly what you said.
No, I wouldn't do a trashy like you're suggesting, but here's what I would say. That if you have a woman who's a traditional housewife, and if this film is about the birth of women's lib and the way women change, then I want to hone right in on that decision. Why this guy? Why this decision with this guy? At this time.
That's fascinating. If it's about how women change, which it is. It starts at Pearl Harbor, it ends at the end of the war.
Right.
It's about women who go to work for the first time and learn to think about themselves as individuals.
Right.
If it's about how women change, then why are you so interested in why she leaves her husband and goes off with this guy when the central relationship in the movie is her friendship with Christine Lottie?
One of the parts.
That's the most important one. At the beginning of the movie, she thinks Christine Lottie is a tramp because she goes out with the nightclub owner. She's a nice little housewife.
Right.
At the end of this movie, they found sisterhood. They found around friendship. They can respect each other as individuals.
Right.
The last shot of the movie doesn't have her hugging her husband or her lover.
Right.
It has her hugging her new friend, and I think that's extremely important.
Right.
And that's the discovery that goes on in this movie, not your desire that the husband play another one of these spurned and jilted scenes, or that the lover explain something about why he's so desirable.
No, I think that if you're going to have her make this key a decision, I think people want to know, or at least this person wanted to know, why she goes for this guy. In other words, the movie is taking an interesting look at this time, and I think it would be a better film if it didn't just have sort of this cute meet where she punches him with the drill.
See, that's
and then,
I
think that's what it is. I think it's movie liking rather than a real life.
Her decision to have an affair was not a key decision in the movie. It's just going by the ropes. Everybody else is having affairs. The key decision in the movie is for her to learn to think about other women in a different way.
That's one of the decisions.
Sure, her husband's in the Navy for 4 years, and she has an affair. That's something that, that's a lot of time is devoted. A lot of time of the picture is devoted to that, and a lot of time is devoted to the other one too. I think that what you're doing is you're saying this didn't give me what I wanted.
I give it a mixed review. I like the part with the woman.
I give it a thumbs up.
Okay,
that's what I give it. And next week at the movies, or this week, or next at the movies, or coming up next, the film that had the biggest opening weekend of any box office movie this year. Our next movie is Friday the 13th, the final chapter, an immoral and reprehensible piece of trash that sold more tickets on its opening weekend than any other movie so far in 1984, and that is a very, very depressing commentary. It really makes me sad to think of all those moviegoers spending $4.50, $5, most of them teenage kids, sitting there watching this sad, cynical, depressing movie. Now, needless to say, Paramount Studios, the distributor of this film, didn't authorize any clips of the film for use on television. They like to make the money, but maybe they're a little bit ashamed of the movie. They like to hide it from critics like ourselves. But here are some scenes from the Coming Attractions trailer showing that the fourth Friday the 13th movie is just a cynical retread of the first three.
3 times before, you have felt the terror, known the madness, lived the horror. But this is the one you've been screaming for. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason is back. He moves like a shadow, dark and silent.
Sorry, you changed your mind?
He never utters a word. He doesn't even seem to breathe.
Where the hell's the corkscrew?
He simply, mindlessly, mercilessly kills. But now, Jason's reign of terror is over.
Yeah, real great. Jason, you can't hear him, you can't see him, he hardly even breathes. He's the latest word in leading men from the geniuses at Paramount Pictures. You get the idea. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is 90 minutes of teenagers being strangled, stabbed, impaled, chopped up, and mutilated. That's all this movie is just mindless, bloody violence. And just think of the message this film offers to its teenage audience. The world is a totally evil place, this movie says. It'll kill you. It doesn't matter what your dreams and hopes and ambitions are. It doesn't matter if you have a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend or you've got plans for the future. You can forget those plans because you're going to wind up dead. There is literally nothing else in this movie. And the sickest thing is, this isn't the final chapter. That's just an advertising gimmick. The ending clearly sets up a sequel. And what I want to know is, I wonder if they're going to be heartless and cynical enough to make the sequel, because why not? They've already taken the bucket to the cesspool 4 times for this sludge. I think the people who made this movie ought to be ashamed of themselves, and that's what I think, Gene.
Yeah.
And I'm going to vote no.
I had a feeling you might. I got as upset as you did. I don't know whether the teenagers, the message will be of this film that the world is hopeless out there, because I think that anybody who sees this picture will see it either the way you did and I did, which is that it's just a mayhem film. You might as well watch car accidents edited together, or they will think it's just a lark and just a fun. I don't think anyone's going to take this as a worldview picture. I really don't.
But wait a minute. See, the thing is, they made the first one. Okay.
I thought it was horrible.
The first one was horrible. Then they made the second one.
Yeah.
Then they made the third one in 3D. Then they made this one. By now, All it is the teenagers go to Crystal Lake and they're killed.
Roger, we don't have a dispute about the film. The only point that I'm making...
It is a worldview. Have you seen all four of them? What are they trying to tell you?
No. What they're trying to give kids is a roller coaster ride, and instead of the thing of falling off the roller coaster, it's will you get stabbed in some way?
Will you get disemboweled and eviscerated?
It's a terrible film. I'm just holding you back a little bit from what sounds a little bit soapboxy in terms of kids are going to take this as this is the way the world is. I don't think they'll do that. But what I am saying is this, that the film is literally about stabbing. In other words, if you like this picture, what you have liked, I believe, is the idea that someone will get a stick put through their body, because that's the essence of this movie. Well, the surprise is, it's not surprising.
I did probably sound a little soapboxy, but I'll tell you, I'm not saying the kids are going to believe that. I'm saying this is what the message is in the movie. Now, I sat in a theater, and I saw this with some kids, and they were, you watch them coming in. It's an R-rated picture. That means most of the people will be under 17. They're 13, they're 12, they're 14.
Okay, it's garbage.
They're coming in, they're sitting there for 2 hours. This is supposed to be fun. They're told it's fun. They see it advertised on television. It did a lot of business. Their older brothers and sisters went to see it. And what do they see for 2 hours? Just cynical defeatism.
It's terrible. It's a terrible film. I think a much more interesting point is that the message that it sends out is not that this is the way the world is, but that now you've really got on the subject, which is that watching girls, and it's mostly girls again, getting stuck is entertainment. See, that's the pornography.
It's really sick.
That this is legitimate entertainment too. That you can go to a theater and
the movie
pay for
doubled its money in its first weekend.
Okay.
Isn't that wonderful?
All right. Coming up next at the movies, Karen Black loses her husband and meets a wacky guy who takes his pulse while they make love.
That is the guy.
What guy?
That is the guy who was at the cafe, and I think has he got a gun?
Our next film is called Can She Bake a Cherry Pie? And it's an independently made movie that is sort of a throwback to the films of the early 70s in America with sort of an improvisational style. Karen Black stars as an emotional woman in New York whose husband walks out on her, and she soon meets a wacky guy, a guy named Eli, at a cafe. And after they hit it off, sort of, they go on a date, but Karen Black has paranoid feelings that her husband or someone else is following her.
Doesn't that guy look familiar? The one in the shirt there. Wasn't he at the cafe?
At the cafe?
Who else was there?
Nobody
else. Do you remember any
else?
faces or anything?
Nobody else that I know. I mean, you know, I go
Do
to
you remember any faces,
I go to that cafe a lot. Some of those people look familiar to me as people who frequent the cafe. No one I
if you
remember.
see them on the street, will you tell me? If you just have...
However, the chances of that are infinitesimal. In New York City, you're going to see the same person on the street that you saw in a cafe in a different area? And why? Why are you interested?
I think somebody's following me. See that guy right there? Right there.
What about?
That guy. That's what I was thinking. That is the guy.
Don't attract attention.
That's the guy. That's the guy who was at the cafe. Look at him. Look at him. He's following us.
I wasn't at the
cafe.
What do we do? I didn't see him.
That is the guy.
What guy?
That is the guy who was at the cafe. And I think has he got a gun?
Oh, don't be ridiculous. There's no guy. There's no...
Look at him. Just look at him. Look at him. It's the same one with the yellow shirt and the dark hair. I told you there was somebody there with the yellow shirt.
No, it's just a man standing...
Eli, what do we do?
Look, you're attracting attention to yourself. Stop this.
Okay, let's act natural.
There's nobody...
Act natural.
Shh, be quiet then if you want to act natural. Quiet, smile, peacefully, okay? Nice movie, audience waiting for the movie. Let's go into the movie. That's the way to act natural.
You'll be in the dark.
I found Can She Bake a Cherry Pie to be a real bore to sit through. Not for a minute did I believe Karen Black's character, especially in that scene. I always saw Karen Black there over-emoting. Movie star does street person, that kind of thing. More interesting because he is more of a genuine oddball as the guy there standing next to her, Michael Emile, as her strange boyfriend. He might make an interesting supporting character in another movie, maybe a Woody Allen film, but I got tired of his frantic speech pattern and emotional intensity after a while. There's an amateurish feel to Can She Bake a Cherry Pie? It isn't well organized, and I did not like this movie.
Well, I don't know, maybe by amateurish you mean it isn't really slick and polished and professional, but I think it has a lot of spontaneity in it that adds a lot to the film. I liked it. I felt it kind of got under my skin, and I enjoyed
I didn't like her
talking. You thought she was over-emoting. I think you could walk down the street in New York and see people talking just like that without having to walk too far.
No, just like him, not just
like her, too.
And also when she's singing in the nightclub, those scenes come in just out of the blue. There's no reason for them there, and I think it's a case of Karen Black wanted to sing, and the filmmaker, to get her to go along into the part, got Karen Black to sing. Then we got the guy who was a pigeon trainer with a pigeon under his hat. I mean, these are cute characters in supporting little things, but that's the center of this picture,
I want to take you on a trip, a little time travel now.
Yeah.
If you went back to the 60s, I bet you would have liked this picture. I think that now you're into an era of high tech in which everything has to be have a purpose, and the movie has to hurdle from beginning to end. You don't remember the kind of movie that just the kind of New York movie where people just went around being strange and
you
funny?
show me those old pictures that I liked back in the 60s, and I bet I like them today. I'm saying that this picture is no good at any time. I think I'm that good a critic.
Okay, well, in that case, I think we disagree. Let's take another look at the movies we reviewed this week. We had a split decision on Privates on Parade. Gene liked its goofy humor. I thought it didn't know what to do when the war turned serious. Another disagreement on Swing Shift. I enjoyed the Goldie Hawn movie about a generation of women who went to work. Gene thought the film was well acted, but with some crucial missing scenes. 2 thumbs down for Friday the 13th, the final chapter, a disgusting and reprehensible message of total despair aimed cynically at a teenage market. And finally, another disagreement on Can She Bake a Cherry Pie. I like the movie's whimsical style and eccentric characters, especially Karen Black's performance. Gene thought the movie was so casual and disorganized it never really took hold.
So you'd send people to Swing Shift, and I say, check out Privates on Parade. It's kind of amusing.
And we both say...
No, Friday the 13th.
No.
Yeah, it is an unhappy experience sitting through that picture. That's it for this week. Next time, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including The Bounty, the latest remake of the Mutiny on the Bounty story, starring this time Anthony Hopkins as Captain Bligh and Mel Gibson as the mutinous Fletcher Christian. That's next time, and until then, we'll see you at the movies.